Hi everyone, this is the fourth video for the week 5 homework. Most of the information it's asking for, we've already somewhat figured out, so it's going to make it a little easier to complete this problem. I know it looks very daunting and confusing, but trust me, it's really not that bad. So let's start. We're supposed to do total earnings paid for the quarter. So we have 3 monthly paydays and 13 weekly paydays. So first we need to figure out total paid during the quarter, but we need to include supplemental earnings. So what I'm going to do, since we've already figured the supplemental earnings out, so are we given the regular earnings? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy these cells for the regular and supplemental, and I'm going to paste it over here. That way we have the information we need. Again, I'm going to copy information. This is the taxes on the supplemental, and then the federal income tax on the regular earnings. So those are going to be copied as well. Whoops, let me move them down. There we go. And so I didn't write those down, so that means I'm going to have to go back and look at those. So let's focus on the earnings first. So we're going to focus on Brett and Gina, who are the monthly employees. So we know what their supplemental is, and we know what their regular is. So to calculate their total earnings for the quarter, we're going to take our $4,200 times 3, because we're told there's 3 monthly paychecks in the quarter. So that gives us total earnings of $12,600, but then we need to add the supplemental. So their income for total earnings was $16,632. Next, we're going to do Gina. We're going to take our $4,150 times 3 is $12,450 plus the $3,984 gives us total earnings of $16,434. Okay, now it's going to be a little different. $810 times 13, because we were told it's 13 paychecks. So that's $10,530, and then we're going to add in our supplemental. So his total earnings for the quarter is $13,899.60. Okay, let's do the next one. 715 times 13 is 9,295 plus 2974.40. So that's 12,269.4. Okay, and I'm going to pause and finish out the rest of the calculations. Okay, and again, since I didn't use formulas, I can go ahead and use auto sum. So now we got to calculate our OASDI calculations, and this gets a little tricky. So we're going to have to figure out the rounded tax for each pay, multiply it by the number of pays in the quarter, plus the tax withheld from 4/8. So I know it's confusing. So let's get started on the monthly employees first. So we know their income is $4,200. So we're going to multiply that times 2. Let's see. So we have 4,200 times 6.2% gives us $260.40. Multiply that by 2 gives us $520.80. We're going to add that to the OASDI we calculated over here of $510.38. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this as well. And that way we don't have to worry about flipping back. Okay, so again, that's $4,200 times 6.2% gives us $260.40. Then we're going to add that to each other, which is $520.80. And then we're going to add the $510.38. So that's $1,031.18. Okay, let's do that again for Gina Young. So we're going to take her regular income times 6.2%, gives us $257.30. So that's the amount of OASDI for one paycheck. Since it's already rounded for us, we can multiply that by 2, or just add $257.30 twice. Gives us $514.60. Add that to the $504.31 we already calculated. So that's $1,018.91. Now for the weekly employees. Now, I'm going to explain this the easiest way I can, because we've already figured out one paycheck over here. So we just need to figure out how much is 12 paychecks. So 810 times our 6.2% is $50.22. Multiply that by 12. So for 12 paychecks, it's $602.64. We're going to add that to our $259.14 that we already calculated. So this person's OASDI is $861.78. Now let's do that again. So we have 715 times 6.2%. So that's $44.33 times 12 is $531.96. Add that to the $228.74 we've already calculated. So that's $760.70. Okay, and I'm going to do one more because I know this can get confusing. $695 times 6.2%. $695 times 6.2% is $43.09. Multiply that times 12 plus 222. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 222.34. Sorry, plus 222.34 gives us $739.42. Okay, and I'm going to pause and figure out the rest of the OASDI amounts. Okay, and so now we're going to calculate the HI. It's going to be the same procedure. $4,200 times 1.45% gives us $6.90 times 2. So it was $60.90 times 2, since there's 2 monthly paychecks previous to the one that we already calculated. So that's $121.80. We're going to add the $119.36 that we've already calculated. So that's $241.16. Now let's do Gina Young's. 4,150 times 1.45% is $60, and here's where we're going to have to round. So we're going to clear our calculator and put $60.18 in. Then we're going to multiply that amount by 2, and then add our $117.94. So it's $238.30. Okay, and now we're going to go to the weekly employees. So 810 times 1.45%. And again, we're going to have to round this one as well. So it's $11.75 times 12. And then add the $60.60 we've already calculated. So it's $201.60. Again, 715 times 1.45%. Again, we're going to have to round. So it's going to be $10.37 times 12 plus $53.50. So that's $177.94. I'm going to do one more. So $6.95 times 1.45%. So this is we're going to round it to $10.08 times 12 plus the $52. So that's $172.96. And I'm going to pause the video and finish the rest of the HI calculations. Okay, and so now here's where it comes into play, where the amounts that we've already calculated. So we know the regular earnings for Brett Wayne are calculated at $199 for taxes, for federal income tax. So we have $199 times 2 gives us $398. Actually, let's do it this way. I'm sorry, trying not to confuse you. 199 times 3, since we haven't copied over the amount of federal income tax. So that's 597 plus the 1,008 that we calculated as supplemental. So this federal income tax is $1,605. And so let's do that again. We have $337, which is what we calculated as the regular federal income tax, times 3, since there's 3 paydays for this person in the quarter, gives us $1,011, and we're going to add to that $996. That is the supplemental federal income tax. So that's $2,007. Okay, now we're going to do for the weekly employees. So it's $95 times 13 paychecks. And then we're going to add the $842.40. Gives us $2,077.40. Again, let's do the next one. $24 times 13 paychecks plus $743.60. So that's $1,055.60. And I'm going to pause and go ahead and finish out the federal income taxes. Okay, for the city income tax and state income tax, I'm going to go back again, and I'm just going to copy these columns again. I'm just going to save us some calculations. Okay. And so again, the state income tax is 2% and the city is 1%. Okay, so to calculate our state income tax, we're going to take the $4,200 times the 2%, multiply that by 2 since there's 2 paychecks. Then we're going to add that to the $164.64 we've already calculated. So that's $332.64. Again, we're going to do $41.50 times 2% is $83 times 2, which is the 2 months that do not have the supplemental income already calculated. Then we're going to add that to the $162.68 we've already calculated. So that's $328.68. Okay, and now let's focus on the weekly employees. 810 times 2% is $16.20 times 12, which are the 12 paychecks that were not included, that do not have supplemental income. So that's $194.40. We're going to add that to the $83.59 we've already calculated. So that's $277.99. And let's calculate the next weekly one. 715 times 2% is $14.30 times 12 is $171.60 plus $73.79. So it's $245.39. It's $245.39. Let's figure out one more just to make sure that we have the process down. $6.95 times 2% is $13.90 times 12. Then add to the $73.79. That's $71.72. Sorry about that. Is $238.52. And we're going to do the city income tax the same way. We're going to take 4,200 times 1%, add 82.32, gives us 124.32. That does not look right. 4020 4,200 times 1% times 2 is $84 plus 82.32. So that's 166.32. And then we go 41.50 times 1% times 2 plus 81.34. It's 164.34. And let's do the weekly employees. 810 times 1% times 12 plus 41.80. 810 times 1% is $8.10 times 12 plus 41.80. So that's 139. $715 times 1% times 12 plus 36.89 is 122.69. Let's do one more. 695 times 1% times 12 plus 35.89, which is 119.26. Let's see where I made a mistake. Up there's it is. The city income tax should actually be $35.86. So let's take 695 times 1% times 12 plus 35.86 $119.26. And then we're going to calculate the net pay the same way. We're going to take our total earnings, subtract out the net pay. I'm sorry. You're going to take our total earnings, subtract out your taxes, and that's going to give you your net pay. So we have $16,632 minus $1031.18 minus $241.16 minus $1605 minus $332.64 minus $166.32. So this person's net pay for the quarter would be $13,255.70. And that is how you complete this part of the problem. If you have any questions on it, let me know, and I hope you have a great day.